and welcome to another AB Talks. I'm delighted to be joined today by PJ Moloney of P4ML, the winner of the Arabian Business Future Falcons Award. PJ Moloney, welcome to the show and congratulations again on the win.
Thank you, Matthew, and we're very happy to be back at the Unite Dubai event.
So, firstly, let's talk a little bit about P4ML. What's the vision for the company and what's the thought behind the company and the company mantra?
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing is the company mantra, and the company culture. P4ML is a precision medicine company. We're not out of the pandemic right now, but I think over the last 2.5 years, people have started to really look at their health and what a pandemic can actually do. I won't say it's devastated our lives, but it's put us all on hold.
Certainly put healthcare in focus.
It put healthcare in focus. So imagine if you're a parent of a very sick infant and you don't understand which rare disease that baby may have, and the same for the clinicians. So that's what P4ML is really about. It's about looking at a magnitude of genomics or next generation sequencing and multi-omics, which is a big word for a lot of people, but it's very specialized laboratory equipment that understands drug patterns. That's effectively what P4ML do. We monitor pregnancy and newborn screening. And Matthew, really the focus here is to understand disease at a much earlier stage of life and to aid the clinicians to give that child the right medication to give them a better outcome. And specifically really in the GCC region, we've seen across the world, but in this region, we look at clans or tribes where we have very close marriages, and we see some rare diseases in this region that wouldn't be more prevalent in the US or Western Europe, and vice versa. I'm an Irish guy, so cystic fibrosis is Ireland's rare disease. We have the highest prevalence in the world. There's very few cases here, so that's what P4ML is about. Working with clinicians, ensuring that mom and baby have a happy, healthy pregnancy, and that at time of birth we can now look towards next generation sequencing and more advanced equipment in the laboratory to give a real picture of what's happening in that child's body. That's what P4ML is about in its mantra.
So I'm sure you get this question all the time, but from now to 5 years' time, where do you see P4ML going? What is the 5-year plan?
Yeah, I got asked this question. It's not my first company. This is my third business, and P4ML was established because of Brexit. We're now in the Middle East, which is not a bad thing, because I think there's a real vision here in the Middle East, which I like. It's a really good region to work in. So where do we see ourselves in 5 years as a company? Obviously scaling and growing, hence why we're at the Unite event and having won the Future Falcon Award, especially in the 50th year centenary of the UAE being founded. It was a very prestigious award for me personally. But in 5 years, I would hope to see that this workflow is being given to every future newborn in this region, and that personalized medicine becomes more mainstream. We're doing a lot around oncology, but are we looking at the person too late, in their 60s? Why should we not be looking at, when babies are born? There is some ethical questions here. But I do believe in the next 5 years that P4ML and the traction we have here is we'll have a very strong presence in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and we're very close to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We will have a presence there. And inshallah, Oman and maybe in Iran, we don't know. But it's step by step. It takes time. We're working with very advanced genetics and we have to build the infrastructure around that. So university courses, identify the right clinicians and ensure that ethics are in place and the workflow is, properly implemented into each country. People have approached us about acquisition a little bit naively or prematurely, I think, but maybe we will be acquired. We don't know. But for me, it's about steady, continuous growth. And being at events like, the Unite Dubai event where we can speak to, private family offices, we can speak to investors about our progress, because I think it's very important that you give your stakeholders, even if they're not investors now, that they follow your story. And I really like that about the private investment group. They've followed us since we've come here. They sit down to have coffees and have some lunch with us. And they've been very supportive to my business. So for me, we're telling a story. And who knows where the next 5 years take us.
So talking of stories there, you mentioned partway through your answer that this is not your first company, nor your second, but actually your third. So maybe you could talk us a little bit about the lessons that were learned from the first two, what you were working at before that eventually led you to set up P4ML.
Yeah, look, for me, and I mentor healthcare companies in Ireland, UK, and here in the Middle East. For me, P4ML is seeking investment right now because we have explosive growth, okay? I'm a huge believer of organically growing a company. Absolutely organically grow a company. If you can, always know your customer. As I said, I look at the Middle East here and there's a lot of excitement around accelerators and startups. I think there's maybe more accelerator programs than startups in the Middle East. But for me, know your customer, know your market size. Always be transparent. Integrity should be the mantra of every company, and good corporate governance. And for my previous two companies, they were Irish focused. They won the Outstanding Small Business of the Year in Ireland. They won several awards in Ireland. But P4ML is a different beast. The fact we're in the Middle East, the fact we're very relevant post the pandemic, and healthcare is, people are more focused now on their healthcare. We're seeking investment because we have to bring in specialized staff. We have to fit out laboratories. We need to scale into more regions than one. That's why we're seeking investment. That's why we're sitting in at these events. We're not selling ourselves on a pitch deck or a one-page teaser. This is intellectual property that's come out of a university. It's a lot of sweat equity for me, 3.5 years, a lot of my own personal money put into it. And I feel now the fact that we're getting traction in the Middle East, it's now the right time to speak to investors because we're ready and we will give a return on investment. So I think for any startup, get to know your customer, get market traction, and only engage in investors when you know you're going to get a return on investment. That's probably a lesson I've learned from my other two companies. And always ensure you have enough cash in the bank. We'd like some cash from investors now to help us scale. But I think that's the lesson I would say, I learned from my other two companies. Just be very transparent and have integrity about business. Corporate governance for me is the be-all and end-all. Be compliant, transparent, and always run on integrity.
Thank you. And so my final question to you then all revolves around Unite Dubai. Thoughts on the event itself, all themed around unlocking new investment and new trade and new economics, building new investment. What are your thoughts on this as a platform? What are your thoughts on the conference? This is something I know you've already experienced before. So how have you found it beforehand?
Yeah, so Matthew, great question. Again, the inaugural Unite event, we were very proud to be a partner of that event. And again, it's because of relationship. It's all about relationship. The people behind the private investment group, we know them. We follow their activities on LinkedIn. We know that they have a good network of stakeholders and investors. And it's about quality. We're delivering a service, precision medicine. We're a premium product. This is what Unite is to me. It's an event that not many people know about, especially, again, we're getting back into the conference season. I get approached so many times, will you sponsor a booth? It's $15,000, you get this, that, and the rest. But this event for me is sitting in, telling our story to ultra-high net worth families, private family offices, good VC firms that can fulfill a series or seed round up to a Series D. The gentlemen or the people behind the private investment group. This event, I think the fact that it's over 2 days, we get to learn more about a potential investor that we're interested in speaking to. The location itself, we're on a beautiful golf course on a creek, and tomorrow we go to the polo ground. So, you know, it's a very friendly environment. Nobody's buying or selling here. Everybody's listening, getting to know your story. And I think that's, again, we went back to culture and the mantra of P4ML. For us, we're not selling here. We're here for the long term. And we want to bring maybe some of the investors at this event on a journey with us. They may not invest in us today, but at least we've built up a relationship and a partnership, and we'll be at future Unite events.
Excellent. Well, on that note, I'll thank you very much for your time, PJ. I hope you enjoy the conference later tonight, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Matthew, and again, a sincere thanks to Unite Dubai.